even mention that we're making Black Panther 2. We didn't mention the fact that Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is coming. We didn't have time to talk about Captain Marvel 2. I didn't even have time to talk about the Fantastic Four.
Welcome back to Nerds on the Couch, a podcast where two nerds are on a couch and talk a bunch of nerdy things, whilst on a couch, would you believe it? So, this week, we're going to be discussing Marvel's newly released plans for Phase 4. That was released at Comic-Con the other weekend. And I am a person who knows very little about comics, but have really enjoyed the movies, and has been enjoying them as movies. However, you, Sydney, you know substantially more about comics than I.
Yeah.
Alright, well, so the first movie that they announced, which is coming on May 1st, 2020, which sounds like it's so far in the future, but it's like, what, only a few months away now? I mean,
I know.
It's crazy how time flies. 2020. Okay. Anyway, and that is the Black Widow solo movie, starring Scarlett Johansson. So I know very little about this, except I know that it's set in between Civil War and Infinity War, because of things that happened in recent movies. I don't know. This movie seems interesting. I think it's coming a bit late, especially considering what's happened to the character in recent movies. It just feels like it's a movie that should...
Spoiler.
Yeah, it's a movie that should have come out, I think, a few years ago. But that said, it seems like it could be evocative of sort of like the spy theme that the Winter Soldier movie had. That's all I know about it. Sydney, what can you tell me about this Black Widow movie?
So, yes, I am completely in agreement with you. I think this is coming a little late. I don't quite understand why they would bring this entry so late, because, you know, her character... Can we say spoilers?
Yeah, okay, spoilers for Endgame. I mean, it's been out for a while. They've been posting videos on YouTube. Spoiler.
People are so sensitive about that, though.
Yeah, okay, so definitely spoiler warning. Spoiler warning for the rest of the video. We're going to be talking about Marvel movies and where we're up to at this point. Just spoiler movies from Marvel up until Far From Home.
Sweet. Okay, so she dies in the film, so I'm not quite sure what they were thinking. So I wasn't quite sure what they were thinking. Because usually when they do standalone movies, you know, they have like a 2-3 movie plan to build up a certain character. So I'm not quite sure what their vision is for that. I am excited though that we're going to get a very female-driven Marvel movie. I'm super excited about that. The Black Widow character I do like. I do find her, you know, fascinating. A lot of the plot points, to my knowledge, are still kind of rumored, so I don't quite know if maybe we're going to get some flashbacks into when she was working with the Russians and when Nick Fury came into her life. But I'm super excited to get that movie, because I am a fan of her character, and I think she has one of the best fighting scenes whenever she is in a Marvel movie. So I really expect that to be a strong point of the movie, is the fight scenes.
Yeah, again, if it's anything like Winter Soldier, then I think that would be really cool. Have some really nice, maybe like hand-to-hand stuff, some real choreographed stuff. It could be good.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I'm super excited about that.
Is there anything that you like from Black Widow in the comics that you might like to see in this movie?
So, the only thing that I would have liked to have seen, but it's too late now because her character is dead, is that, so eventually her and, Captain America get together, as do her and Bucky. So I thought that would be a cool dynamic to explore, but obviously I don't think they're going to go that route. Just because of where this...
They don't want to go into necrophilia.
Yeah. That might kind of turn certain audiences off. Call Me Crazy.
Might have a higher age rating for that.
Right. So where this movie falls in terms of the timeline, that storyline just wouldn't work. So I'm kind of bummed that that's probably not going to be incorporated into it. But that's pretty much it. I'm not a heavy Black Widow reader, because usually she's, what's the word I'm looking for? Like on the peripheral, like a side character, a super cool kick-ass character, but not like, Steve and Bucky and all that. But I'm still excited to see her movie, and I'm still totally going to go and see it.
Yeah, I'm just kind of disappointed it's not set in between Infinity War and Endgame.
Right.
Because, I know, I was really disappointed that we didn't have more properties set in that time frame when this half the population died and what that did to society. I think that would have been a cool if we had a Marvel movie that was set in that space. But that said, it is what it is. But anyway, seeing that you were mentioning Bucky, that moves on to the next thing that they're releasing, which is actually going to be a TV show that they're going to be premiering on the new Disney Plus streaming called Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, I think the Disney the TV shows that they're doing is pretty interesting here, because unlike your Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or your Marvel Daredevils and Jessica Jones, it seems like they're putting a lot of money into these movies, and they're going to directly tie into what's been going on. Like, for example, this stars the actual Falcon and Winter Soldier that were in the movie. So
Anthony Mackie.
It's going to be like the first. This is going to be like the first of the TV shows,
like a spin-off.
Yeah,
right.
so
I'm super excited.
This one, I'm really personally interested in this one. Just to see, because it's going to be our first taste of how these TV shows work. I'm kind of hoping that they are really expensive, like miniseries, something like Chernobyl, or it's basically that they're telling a self-contained story. They're just telling a really big movie. That's why I like it. I'm hoping that there is a beginning and an ending of this TV series. But otherwise, that's all I know. I'm personally excited for this one. What's your thoughts?
I am super excited because I really like the I mean, I don't want to call them sidekick characters because they're not, but they're not quite at the level of, Captain America status. But both of the characters have a lot of interesting, like, their own personal stories are super interesting, and I like how they kind of have this funny, like, frenemy thing going on, especially concerning Steve, and the funny thing is kind of what started this whole series is, how whenever you have a major blockbuster comic book movie coming out, and then the actors have months of hitting the talk show circuit, talking about it, hitting conventions and things like that. Well, kind of what inspired the studio to give Falcon and the Winter Soldier their own series is fans absolutely adored the dynamic between the actors themselves of Stan and Anthony Mackie, because they are hilarious together. So that's kind of what led to this eventual series. So it's actually kind of awesome because fans were just like, oh, they're just so funny together, and they have like great chemistry, and even in the movies it's apparent. So that's kind of where this started from. So it's great that we're gonna get a series of it because I think they're both great actors. I like the characters. They're super interesting. It's gonna be a lot of action packed. Probably I'm feeling like it's gonna be maybe like Lethal Weapon meets a Marvel movie. Have you ever seen any of the Lethal Weapon movies?
Yeah, I've seen bits of the first one.
Yeah, okay. So, it's basically like a classic buddy-buddy movie kind of a thing. There's the hype man, and then there's kind of like the crazy one. So it'll just be interesting to see that dynamic on screen that's longer than a movie. So even the format, I'm super interested to see like what that's going to look like, because usually when you see these actors, they're in a movie. So it'll be interesting to see what it'll look like in a TV format. So I'm super interested. And because it's Disney, they're going to have the budget, right? And it's Marvel.
Totally.
Right.
I'm so curious, to see what it's going to be like to have a movie scale budget put into a TV show. I think it's something you don't see very often. I think Game of Thrones was like one of the first TV shows ever to really put a movie's budget into a TV show. And now, with the power of Disney, they're really I think they're doing like a whole bunch of these series. So I'm really curious to see if it's going to able to maintain the level of quality that their movies have.
Definitely. And the funny thing is, originally I was not going to get the Disney platform Disney Plus, because I'm just like, that's another streaming service. But then when they announced this movie or this series, I was like, God damn it.
God damn it.
I know. Now I'm like, damn. So annoyed. So yeah. So I'm gonna.
See, they already sold me with The Mandalorian. Because I'm a huge Star Wars person, and the director from the original Iron Man movie is making it, and he's a huge Star Trek nerd. So they got me that. I think it's $5 or $6 a month. So it's actually pretty.
It's cheaper than Netflix.
Reasonable.
It's literally half the cost of Netflix. They know what they're doing, Disney.
Exactly, they're really trying to just get it in as many homes as possible, in the first. And I guess because they have the money to keep it low at first, and then once you've hooked people in, they'll probably raise it later. But it's very clever what they're doing. Because I remember when they was first announced, I'm not gonna get it. I'm not gonna get the Apple bloody streaming service.
Right.
But Disney are really clever, and they know how to get you in.
Oh, those bad. And then plus, if you're if you're a parent with kids, automatically you're like, damn it, I gotta get that for the kids, or else there will be no peace in the house.
Oh my, tell me about it. Especially with how they're going to be connecting with each other. It's going to be crazy.
Exactly.
Although, moving on to the next movie, which is coming out on November 6th, 2020, is a movie I don't really have any idea about. It's called The Eternals. It's got an interesting cast. You got Angelina Jolie and Kumail Nanjiani. I probably butchered that name, but it's got some good people in it. But I have no idea what it's about. I think this is why it's one of the ones I'm actually really interested to see what it's about, because apparently it's about giant space gods, like some of the stuff that we saw in the first Guardians of the Galaxy. But I don't know. Tell me, Sydney. What are the Eternals?
And see, that's the thing. I just didn't. You know how some stories just don't really grab you. The Eternals are kind of like that. That whole story never really grabbed me. But essentially, it's kind of like what you said. They're basically godlike entities that. How to best describe it? I don't want to call it foo-foo because that's not fair, but it's not grounded, if that makes sense. Like Batman is, or Superman is, or Wonder Woman is. They kind of go into crazier elements that I'm not particularly a fan of. But yeah, so it's basically just following godlike characters. And again, it's not really a story, the storyline I don't really like, but I don't know how closely they're going to follow the storylines, or if they're going to do what do you call it, a bastardization, where they take a little bit from the comic books and then they, fold it in with whatever they plan to do for the movie, so that comic book fans aren't. So the story isn't ruined for comic book fans because they know what's coming down the line, but enough to draw them in. I don't know. I don't know. And the interesting thing is, have you ever watched or read anything, or excuse me, I should say read anything, where you think, how is this going to translate into a TV show? And that's kind of my opinion on the Eternals. I personally think it's going to be another one of the... What was that terrible Marvel movie that they did on Hulu?
Oh, you mean... the...
Was so...
Oh, what was it? The one with the giant dog, right? The Inhumans.
Yes. It's one of those. It's one of those, like, how is this going to translate into a TV show? So I'm kind of iffy on that.
Well, it's not a TV show, it's a movie.
Movie. But it's same premise, though. I'm like, I don't know how that's going to translate, how that's going to look on the screen. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No, I mean, yeah, the Inhumans was, I think, justifies your concerns. But then again, this isn't like a sort of a B-tier side project that they like the Inhumans was. You know, this is a full movie announced with all the roster of all their other stuff. And you know, when I first heard about Guardians of the Galaxy, that sounded pretty crazy and out there. I'm like, what? This is going to be a movie with a talking hedgehog and a tree just running around? And you know, they got the right guy to make it work. So who knows? I guess. I think the Eternals is probably the one that is like the most loosest. I don't know what the hell is gonna be.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. But like you said, you
never know.
Right, you don't know. And there is like a precedent set because of, like you said, Guardians of the Galaxy, which is definitely one of those psychedelic stories. I personally think though that the Eternals is a little bit more psychedelic in a different way than Guardians of the Galaxy, because Guardians of the Galaxy is so wacky it works. Eternals, they're not really wacky, so there's not that comedy cushion that they can land on. But like you said, we'll see.
Yeah, well, again, like Doctor Strange, even though I thought it was probably one of the really weaker Marvel movies, the crazy psychedelic stuff that they were doing, I think, were the best parts of the movie.
Without a doubt.
Like that fight sequence when they're like going, like they're having a fight sequence whilst time was reversed. That was bloody nuts. I love it.
And when they're having this fight throughout New York, and like it's total Inception. You know, buildings are folding in.
The buildings are literally crushing people by folding in on themselves. Like, yeah, no, I think story-wise, it was a bit beat for beat, but like, I think the stuff what I thought would be the weirdest thing for audiences to handle, you know, the crazy psychedelic magic stuff, turned out to be the best part of it. So yeah, we'll see. But I guess that moves us on to the February 12th, 2021, our first 2021 movie, which apparently 2021 is going to be the big year for Marvel. Starting with Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings. Okay. Now, of course, I have no idea who Shang-Chi is. It sounds like you do. But the reason why I'm interested in this is it looks like it's going to finally continue the plot of the Mandarin, which was kind of left hanging from Iron Man 3, and then the that mini short where like they suggested that, oh, the real Mandarin is still out there. Because that's the thing I really liked. I appreciated what they did in Iron Man 3, where they try to like subvert what the Mandarin was, but then the fact that it just turned out to be some posh guy going, I am the Mandarin, felt just a bit, this felt a bit weak. And I was actually really intrigued that there was an actual proper Mandarin out there somewhere, and it looked like that sort of plot thread had just kind of been dropped, and I thought, especially with Iron Man croaking it, that it was just something that was just going to be left to the wayside, much like the dangling plot thread in the Incredible Hulk, where you saw a man about to transform into something, and that's not been addressed 10 years later. But it looks like they're actually bringing back the Mandarin for this, you know, the whole organization of the Ten Rings and stuff. So I'm excited to see what the Mandarin and the Ten Rings are going to be up to in this. But Sydney, tell me about Shang-Chi.
Okay.
What's he about?
Okay, so here's the thing about this particular comics series. You have to remember that this came out like in the 70s, right? When like America was kind of obsessed with like kung fu. Like that was the era of, you know, Bruce Lee and all those horribly dubbed Chinese kung fu movies, right? That are kind of borderline racist nowadays. So it's kind of in the what am I trying to say? Like, I kind of feel like, and I hate saying this, but I'm going to be real. I'm going to keep it 100%. I kind of feel like it's hokey because it's, have you ever read any of the original Daredevil and Luke Cage comics?
The only comic I ever read was like 2 or 3 issues of Spider-Man. That's all I know.
Okay. So the original Daredevil and Luke Cage were just so campy, so over the top, so like kung fu, like American kung fu obsessed. It borderlined on ridiculous. So I just feel like this might be hokey, but they managed to turn around the appeal of Daredevil with the Marvel Netflix show. So I will give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm just saying that the source material
Was Daredevil
not
a popular character? I thought he was pretty popular.
Semi-popular. I mean, hey, for years that, like, certain what am I trying to say? Like, certain comic books are more popular than others, obviously, because of the stories. And the Daredevil's, like, comic book stories had been kind of depreciating in price for a while because he's not really that popular. But the TV show really helped to revitalize that. So originally Daredevil is like kind of like a hokey character, but like I said, they managed to kind of give him a refresh. So and it was good. So maybe they'll be able to do something similar to our hero, but just the source material is like kind of dumb and cheesy. So we'll see.
Okay, we'll see. One little interesting tip that I found out about it was apparently the star who's going to play Shang-Chi, they only finalized his casting like 2 days before this event happened.
Oh, dang, really?
Yeah, apparently it was going for a while, and it was between him and one other person, and then right before this big, huge worldwide event, he was told, yeah, you're going to be the star of this Marvel movie. And they flew him out to San Diego.
And that's the thing, like,
Crazy.
Marvel and DC are really known for trying to keep it, like, close to the vest. Like, they're super secretive. And a lot of times they won't tell people until the last minute, or they won't tell them at all, aka, what's his name? Spider-Man, that actor, what's his name? The cutie patootie?
Tom Holland?
Yes, because he kind of is too honest for his own good. So
oh yeah, he keeps spoiling the movies he's in.
Yes.
Well, did you hear like in Infinity War or was it Endgame that they like gave him like a false script?
Yeah, so
like all the parts he wasn't in it was just false.
Right, and then what's really pathetic is they told him that. So even up until what he said, even certain scenes he didn't know. He like they would give him like bits and pieces, so he didn't even know who he would be like acting up against because they were like, Tom.
I guess if he's on the green screen.
Right, exactly. Poor Tom.
It's just him, Tom Holland on the green screen acting, and then they take him out and bring the rest of the cast in.
I know, poor Tom. So we'll see. The great thing about all these movies is, you know, the source material might not be great or might be old and outdated, but it's what Marvel does to, you know, give them a reboot and a refresh. So, you know, I may have spoken out of turn with Eternals and even this new movie. I mean, it may turn out to be like one of the best blockbusters. And then, if that is the case, go ahead and replay me dissing both movies.
Yeah, jump cut it.
Yeah.
Jump cut. You go like, Shang-Chi's my favorite, and the Eternals amazing, best Marvel movie ever.
Ever wins all these awards. But yeah, we'll see. But I gotta say, I do love anything having to do with martial arts. So I am a little giddy about that. Even though the source material is kind of lame, but we'll see. If they do it right, it could be awesome. So we'll see.
Alright, fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Well, then that moves us on to probably the property I was least excited about when it was first announced. But the more I hear about it, the more and more I'm actually kind of interested about it. And that's WandaVision, the second TV show for the Disney Plus channel. And I just found out that it's set after the events of Endgame, so that's going to be interesting. Apparently, it's going to be like there's going to be some really weird stuff in it. Like some of the rumors are that Vision's going to be brought back by he's going to be like a Black Mirror style sort of clone brought back from Wanda's memory and stuff. And there's people. There's a whole bunch of rumors that it's going to tie into like a famous Vision comic where he's got like a family of Vision kids in the 50s. But yeah, apparently it's going to be really weird, and it's actually going to tie in heavily to the Doctor Strange movie that's going to come later. So I think that this is going to be, the more, because in the movies I thought they were okay, I thought they were decent, but a whole TV show with them seemed a bit, okay, what's the point? But yeah, the more I hear about it, the more weird it sounds, the more I'm like, okay, you might have my interest. What do you think about it?
No. Vision.
Yeah, you've got my original. That was my original reaction to it. No, I'm good.
I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm good. I mean, I'm gonna watch it because it's a Marvel movie, but am I excited about it? No. I mean, Vision's okay, but he's not like my favorite. He's no Captain America or Iron Man. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's one
of those characters
I can take him
that they built up as like this godlike being. He's above everyone, and yet like constantly makes mistakes and is stabbed in the back.
It's one of those I can take it or leave it. So I'm not super excited to see that movie, but of course I'm going to see it because it's a comic book
TV
movie.
show.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's my stance.
Yeah. So again, I started off very similar to you, but like if they go really weird with it, I think I'm going to enjoy it. But I'm also interested to see like how, because this will be, I think, the first real test of these Marvel shows where it's going to tie in heavily to the movie, and it's going to be interesting to see what is the Doctor Strange movie going to be like if you haven't seen this show. And I guess that makes a nice transition to Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. So I think it's probably the one that's got like the dumbest name. But like I said, I thought Doctor Strange was a fairly generic movie. Not terrible, not great, but it had a really cool. It had really cool special effects and just crazy creative action. I thought Mr. Cumberbatch was very enjoyable. He had good screen presence. I think I prefer him in the Infinity War. I thought he was so much cool in Infinity War, and in his interactions with everyone else, he became like a pseudo leader. So it's gonna be interesting to see him being put back into his own movie again. But at least I heard like Wanda's gonna play a big part in it. And what interested me the most is it's going to be the first Marvel movie that's actually going to be somewhat of a horror movie.
Right.
Which, yeah. I like that it's not just, we're doing Doctor Strange 2, like how Iron Man 2 was just like, hey, we're just going to do Iron Man 2. I like that it's actually doing something really different with the character, so.
I really like Doctor Strange. I think the comics do a better job of illustrating how, what's the word I'm looking for? Like how mysterious and
strange.
Yeah, for lack of a better word, that he is. But so the movie kind of portrays him as a little bit more, what's the word? I don't want to say comical because he's not comical, but a little bit more lighthearted than the actual character. But I like the movie Doctor Strange. I really like Cumberbatch. I think he's a terrific actor. And I'm super excited. And I really like how, because like you, I wasn't quite sure how magic was going to be represented in the movies. Like, I didn't know like what the magic would look like, when they're opening portals and all that stuff. Because it could be either done really well or it could look really stupid and hokey. But I think that but they managed.
Oh yeah, did you see the production? The production images before the movie came out, where it's just Cumberbatch and his friend running around New York in the costumes, and it looked ridiculous. But then you watch the movie, and you're like, no, it totally feels right.
And it's so good, and they did such a good job. And they've already proven that their special effects are amazing. And the funny thing is that I too thought, oh, it might be kind of hokey because Doctor Strange is kind of difficult to translate into movie as well because of all the magic and stuff like that. And if you don't do it right, it could look hokey and not cool. So I waited to actually watch it when it came out on Netflix. And after I watched it, do you know how sad I was that I missed the opportunity of watching it on a big screen? I was so bummed out. I was like,
It was pretty cool.
oh my god. I was like,
because the special effects make that movie.
right?
Yeah.
They did such a good job, and I was so bummed. I was like, God damn it! I should have seen this in the movie theater on the big screen. So I will not be making that mistake again, my friend. So yeah, I'm super excited. I can't wait for that to hit theaters. I love the Doctor Strange property.
Me too, and I love that it's being taken in a new direction again by having like the first horror movie. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, because you're dealing with magic, so like they could take it anywhere they wanted to go. So I'm super excited with that.
Yeah, this feels, I think, because like the first Doctor Strange movie felt very like kind of generically Marvel movie. I like this one is doing something that the Marvel movies have never really done before, and like gone in a less child friendly direction, which I think is interesting.
So I feel like it's gonna be like how. What's a good comparison? Kind of like how Guardians of the Galaxy is the first of its kind in the Marvel Universe because it does its own wacky thing and it kind of goes... It doesn't follow the linear narrative that the other Marvel movies do. It's kind of its own...
Yeah, it didn't try to ground itself as much as the previous ones did.
Exactly. And so I think that's what...
Embrace that.
That's what this Doctor Strange movie is going to be. It's going to be its own thing. So I'm super excited.
Hey, that's what I hope.
Yeah.
That's what we hope for.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Woo-hoo. So excited.
I think that is definitely one. I think one of the ones I'm much more interested in and looking forward to.
Yeah, super excited.
But that takes us to the next Disney Plus TV show, and the TV show with, I think, probably the worst font of them all. I know it's supposed to look off and weird because that's Loki's thing, but it's just terrible. But that's the Loki TV show. Now,
wait, they're having a
again,
TV
what's interesting?
show?
Pardon?
They're having a TV show? I didn't hear about this. How did this
Yeah,
slip past me?
Loki's getting a solo TV show.
Is it going to be Tom Middleton?
It's going to be, Tom Hiddleston doing his thing. It's going to be set after Endgame, and it's like a parallel universe Loki. It's the Loki that we saw in Endgame when he grabbed the cube and like teleported out, and that created like a splintered timeline. We're going to be following that splintered timeline, and apparently it's going to be him like dropping through like different realities and stuff.
Oh, that sounds kind of interesting.
Yeah, I actually, this was announced before Endgame came out, so I knew there was going to be a Loki TV show, and I was first like going, oh, they're not going to bring Loki back to life, are they, in Endgame? And then when I saw Endgame, and I actually saw, oh, it's like an alternate Loki. Like, it's not the Loki that we've had all this character development with like Thor Ragnarok and stuff. It's Loki who is still a total arsehole. In fact, the last thing that just happened to him was he got beat up by Hulk, and now he's off, probably going to do some real nasty stuff.
Right.
So that's why I like that it's a Loki that hasn't really had any of that wonderful character development that we had. So it's not like this nice, oh, I'm kind of a good character. He's like full on dick mode.
Well, I think there's dick mode and then more dicker mode and then the dickest mode because he's just a dick.
I thought he had a good arc in Thor Ragnarok and Infinity War that actually made me go, oh, you're not just a dick. You have a good side to you.
He can, but at the end of the day, he's still a dick.
Yeah, that's fair. So, so I guess are you excited for it now that you know it exists?
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely take a look because it'll be interesting to see if maybe and that's the thing about all these Marvel TV series. It'll be interesting to see if some of the characters from the movies come into play or have like fun little cameos or things like that. So it's always fun to see like where it will go. So yeah, I'll totally check that out, and it'll be interesting to see like a different Loki, like how this one will evolve, kind of a thing. So yeah, I'll totally watch that. Goddamn Disney Plus.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, so far, he's the Tom Hiddleston is the only person who's been announced for the series. But yeah, who knows what he might meet? Apparently, it's going to be all weird timelines and different multiverse stuff. So that could be
Yeah, because they can take it anywhere. So yeah, totally excited. All right, well that's awesome.
totally. But then, after that, coming in summer of 2021 is probably the thing that I'm the one of the things I'm most excited about. I think there's one other thing that excites me more than this, but this is still really exciting to me, and it's going to be the What If TV show that's also going to be on Disney Plus. And this is going to be, I think, the Marvel's first real, I think, full force, high-end animation project that it's going to do. It's going to be an animated series that's going to follow several what-if scenarios. And even though it's been animated, it's going to have, the famous voices from the movie. For example, you have Mark Ruffalo, you have Michael B. Jordan, Tom Hiddleston. You're going to get, all the people you know from the movies, but in a real professional animated form, telling just, hey, what-if stories, which I think it's going to be crazy. And you've even got, the main scientist from Westworld, who's going to be, sort of like the storyteller, that's going to introduce you to each, scenario and stuff. Apparently, he's something like a watcher. He was one of the people that you saw in, Guardians of Galaxy Volume 2, who was with Stan Lee on that alien planet. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, I really like this one because I love just creative sandboxes. Things like Black Mirror, Doctor Who, or The Twilight Zone, where it's well, here's a weird story. Why don't we just do something?
Do you know, is it geared more towards adult? Will it be adult content in it?
Yes. Oh well, I think it's going to be as much adult content as the Marvel movies are. So,
Gotcha, so fluffy.
I think it'll depend from episode to episode. How, for example, Civil War had some pretty dark subject matter into it, but then,
it's a Disney
you also
Marvel
have
movie, though. There's always some
the
pep
Avengers
in it.
Exactly, yeah. So I think it's going to be a mixture of the things. There'll be some darker stories and then some lighter stories, but it seems like they're throwing a lot of money into it. I mean, they're unveiling it, with the whole roster of all the movies and other TV shows they're doing. And like I said, they're getting, all of these famous actors from the movies to voice their roles. So they're, really taking this seriously and, giving it, a full budget. It's not like one of them cheap Disney Channel animated series that they've been doing. It looks like they're really going to do something really creative here.
Okay, here's the thing. And it's funny that you bring this one up because I was just talking to someone about this. So, here's a funny thing. So, DC makes the best animated TV series and movies, bar none. But their live action movies, except for 2, are shit. And the reverse holds for Marvel. Marvel makes the best live action movies, but their animated stuff is shit. So I've watched so many of their animated stuff. I've watched the Guardians of the Galaxy, all of the Justice League Guardians of the Galaxy, the Avengers, all of it is just shit. I don't like the animation. It's hokey. The storylines are weak. DC does a better job, bar none, with their animated series, without a doubt, 100%. And those types of stories are geared towards adults, so it's adult content. So they're dropping the S-bomb, and they're showing blood, and it's a little bit more grounded, and it's a little bit more gritty. So I'm not really excited about it because Marvel, they just don't know how to animate stuff. The best animated things that I've ever seen from Marvel is going to be a throwback. It's going to be the Spider-Man series back in the 90s and the X-Men back in the 90s. Outside of that, their animated stuff is shit. I'm sorry. I hate to say it, but it's shit.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. But here's the thing. This isn't just some show that they're doing for the Disney Channel and whatnot. This is the first and probably only animation that I know of that is directly made by Marvel Studios. It's something that's coming from them, and Marvel Studios has never really made anything that's bad. They've made some somewhat mediocre movies and okay movies, but they've never made a bad movie. And I think what Marvel's doing here is it's not just making another animated TV show for the Disney Channel. I think this is somewhat in a response to how everyone says that, you know, the DC animated stuff is always so much better. And with the rise of the popularity of anime and just general acceptance that, you know, animation is a good medium to tell stories in, I think this is Marvel going, okay, let's try and actually seriously do some good animation here. And that's why I'm excited about it. I don't think, like I never believe that, oh, a DC movie is always going, a DC live action movie is always going to be terrible.
No,
I
it's
think
not always.
You know,
No. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, based off of like a very big sample size.
But again, the like, I think the creatives behind the animated series that we've had for Marvel TV shows and animated movies haven't been coming directly from Marvel Studios. And that's why I'm excited about this, is that it is an animated thing coming from Marvel Studios, where they're getting, like, you can clearly tell that they're putting a lot of effort into it, seeing that the amount of star power that they have for this show, that I also think they're going to get on board the best writers that they have to actually make this probably the first really great Marvel animation.
Well, I will say we will see, because, like I said, they have a really bad track record of animated things, because I just don't think that they understand. I think when they think animation, in their minds, they put it like in this box, so when they create it, it just comes out looking like, it looks like shit. Like, the direction is bad, the animation is bad, the voice acting is bad, it's just bad. But you know what? Like you said, it's coming directly from their studio, so hopefully they'll put out...
it's not the same people.
So hopefully they'll put out a better product. But I'm just saying, thus far, and this is not just like a general, you know, sweeping statement. I've seen pretty much the majority of all of their animated stuff, and it's shit. It's terrible. So I'm coming from a place of experience. So we'll see. Because I love animated things, so I want it to do well. I want it to be awesome. I never want something animated to be stupid and poorly acted, and because they treat it like an animated cartoon instead of treating it like just another medium to tell a story. And I think that's where DC and Marvel kind of differ. But like you said, it's coming directly from the Marvel studio, so I will look forward to watching it, because I do love me some animated things, and even though I've been disappointed, I still continue to check out their stuff, because I do love animated series. So we'll see. We will see. I will remain open.
Yeah.
I will remain skeptically open-minded.
Fair play. Exactly, you're perfectly. It seems like you've had good reason to be skeptical in the past,
Yes.
but again, I'm excited for it, because I think, like, it's made by a completely different people. It's actually made by Marvel Studio, and it just seems like such a great concept of just like, what if, just like, let's just throw out creativities. Like, even though I don't know that much about DC, one of the things that sound really interesting to me is there's a story where, like, oh, what if Superman just happened to land in Russia, and then having a whole story based on that what if premise. And I'm so excited to see, like, what interesting storytellings they could do with that premise for the Marvel universe.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, we'll come back to that one later then. So again, that moves us to our final Disney Plus show, Hawkeye. All I know is Hawkeye's going to be in it from the movies. It's going to be set after Endgame, but also apparently going to cover some of the period when he was Ronin. And it's Hawkeye.
So, refresh my memory. Hawkeye. Isn't he having a show with the Winter Soldier?
What? You talking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Oh my god. My wires don't...
I thought you were supposed to be the comic person here. The Falcon is a different character. One flies, one's got a bow and arrow.
Oh my god, I'm sorry. Long work week. I was working today. Okay, I'm with you now. I'm with you. I'm back. Okay, so he's going to get his own TV series. So yes, I am excited about that. Here's the thing. I feel like the comic book version of his character is a lot more, kind of like Doctor Strange. I think his comic book version is a lot more interesting than the movie character. But to be fair, I kind of understand why he's downplayed, because you have like Iron Man and Captain America that are vying for screen time, and obviously those are the bigger title characters, so yeah, you're gonna play to them a lot more. So it'll be interesting to see how if they're gonna use some source material, because I like the Falcon. I think he's a super interesting character. And did you say that the story will take place, because this is news to me, I didn't know that he was going to be getting his own TV series. So is this going to be after Endgame?
From what I've heard several like different rumors about it. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, it's set in between Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame, as well as following the event. So from what I hear, it's going to jump back and forth a bit.
Oh, between when his family was lost and then he became like that crazy assassin. Okay.
Ronin, yeah, exactly. So it's going to cover some of the Ronin era, but apparently, from what I've heard, the Hawkeye logo that they have for this TV show is one taken from a popular series of Hawkeye, where it's kind of like him on his own in his apartment, and it's about him training like the next Hawkeye. And I believe they even announced that it was going to be sort of a story about him training the new Hawkeye.
Oh, tight. So although I do like Hawkeye, I haven't read like all of it, because you know, in comics, you got to pick and choose what you read because there's so much out there. So although I do like Hawkeye, I haven't read every single comic entry that he has. But I do have a really good working knowledge of his background. So it'll be interesting to see if, again, how close to the comic book material are they going to stick to, or are they going to reinvent his character for the TV fans? And here's another interesting thing. Since it's going to be on a Disney streaming website, are they going to, like, I guess because Disney is such a kid-oriented, obviously, property, like, how are they going to create all these TV shows? Like, are they all going to be like PG-13? Are they all going to be G? Like, how? Because obviously that's going to play a big role into Hawkeye's story. So I don't. Some of these, it's interesting.
Well, I mean,
because it's not like it's a Netflix, right? Kind of a platform. Because Disney, that's the thing about like this Disney Plus, right? Because you have Hulu and you have Netflix and you have Amazon Prime, where all they do is just stream and or create their own content, right? Regardless of who's watching. Kind of like HBO, right? Some of the stuff on HBO is G, for families, and other of the stuff is clearly not. But Disney is, for the most part, a family-oriented property, so that obviously will have to play a major role with some of these movies. Like, how are you going to tell the story of Hawkeye? Like, are you going to make it bloody like the comic? Like, how is that going to translate, kind of a thing?
Well, I think the you can probably see how far they can go with the previous array of movies that they've done. I think Marvel's been pretty great about pushing the envelope as much as they have without being, too blasphemous. Like almost every Marvel movie has been PG-13, where you can bring your kids to watch it. But that's it. They've gotten away with a lot of stuff. People get hurt. There's themes of mass murder, and even in Endgame you saw him slit a guy's throat, but without seeing anything too graphic. So I think those would probably be a good.
But I feel like it's different when it's a TV show versus when it's a movie.
Well, I know. See, I think that's what they're really pushing for with these Disney Plus programs is basically the same Marvel movie quality, but in a TV show format. And I think that was a big thing going forth, that these are very different. These are different types of TV shows. They've got a high budget, they're interconnected with the movies, they star movie stars. I think, like, these movies are basically going to be like the Marvel movies, but just in TV show format. And I think that's a big part. I think Disney is smart enough to let Marvel do what they do best in order to create shows that people want to watch and drive them to the platform. That's why I think, in terms of like how much they're going to get away with, the movies will be a good basis to go off of, because that's basically what they're trying to do.
It's interesting.
All right, and then that brings us to the final officially announced movie. The thing that it sounds that you and I are the most excited about.
I can't wait.
Thor: Love and Thunder.
And what's so awesome is that they're gonna bring back the same director that did Ragnarok and just let him do his thing. I'm so excited.
Oh, I love Taika.
As soon as they said that,
the
I was like, "Oh my god! You know it's going down." I'm so freaking excited. I am so excited.
Man. So it's Taika Waititi back. Just like, I think Thor Ragnarok probably one of the best Marvel movies out there.
Yeah.
And also just Taika Waititi has made some amazing stuff like Boy and What We Do in the Shadows. He's just created some amazing movies. I can't wait to see what he does next. And you've got Thor returning back, and you got Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, having like her whole journey. She's going to try it now that she's king of Asgard. Like her whole quest is to try and find a queen or something like that. And what I find was most out of the blue, which I was not expecting, was that Natalie Portman is back and will probably. It looks like she's going to play like the next Thor.
Because in the comic books, Jane, her character, does become Thor for a little bit. So that'll be kick-ass. I'm so excited!
Yeah, I'm assuming, like, I know, it feels like, if I'm not mistaken, Thor recently, like, there was a new Thor who was a female, and she's now, like, the main Thor? Is that right?
Yes, you are correct. Because, Marvel went through, like, a big, like, reboot and refresh, so a lot of the characters that you and I and a lot of people grew up with have swapped out. Like, there's a different Spider-Man, there's a different Iron Man, there's a different Thor. So yeah, a lot of those characters that you're most familiar with are now played by, I guess you could say, their mentees in a way. So one of the current incarnations of Thor is a woman. Yes, you are correct. But it looks.
So imagine. So it seems like that's. I'm saying, like, so, like, is that potentially what they're going to do with Natalie Portman?
Right, because.
And how do you feel about that?
Well, I like it, but I should say that the current Thor that is a woman is different. So Jane does become Thor, but just for a little bit. But this other current Thor that's a woman isn't Jane. It's played by a completely different character. But it looks like they are going to pick up the Jane plot line, which is she becomes Thor for a little bit. So I think that's going to be kick-ass and great. Because I love me some Natalie Portman. I really... Oh, sorry. What were we going to say? Oh, so I was just saying,
Natalie...
sorry.
It seems like there's some echo anyway. I'm just going to say what I'm going to say. That Marvel movies have diverted from the comic lines in the past. Mm-hmm. Do you think there's, like, it's in the way, like, in the press release, like, Taika Waititi literally handed, Natalie Portman the hammer. So, I think there's a potential for her to be new Thor. If she is a new Thor, do you think like she's going to be able to carry on the role from Chris Hemsworth? Do you think that's a possibility?
She was in all honesty, I don't think she's going to be like I think what's probably going to happen is what happened in the comics, where she was Thor for like a short period. She wasn't quote unquote like the new Thor, like this new female Thor is.
Right.
So I think that's probably what it's going to be. And then in the comics as well, like some trippy things happen to Thor. Like he loses his powers, and then he ends up with, what is her name? So you know how Thor has, even though like they're all dead now, you know how he had like his main band of brothers, and then that one female warrior? Well, her and Thor actually hook up and become like a big couple. So
She is the only one who's still alive.
So I don't know if they're gonna play on that. And then the bigger question is, will Thor's character have lost all of his weight? Because in Endgame he was really big. Love the fat suit. So will we see the sexy Thor, or will we see, kind of I'm eating my feelings Thor?
I'm also just curious, like, how this is going to tie in with the Guardians of the Galaxy, because last time we saw him, he was bunking with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and there is still an official Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie happening. It's just being pushed down the road because Tom Gunn is now working on the Suicide Squad sequel,
right.
Which now I'm super excited about. Just because it's James Gunn doing it, and apparently it's gonna be like a completely whole reboot.
Right, because the first Suicide Squad was really bad, which is sad because they had awesome awesome actors. So
see, I love it. I love Suicide Squad because it is so bad on so many ways that it's like a good bad movie. Nothing about it makes sense.
No, at all.
I love it. It's so watchable because of how messed up it is.
It's a train wreck. It's totally bad, and it's awful because you have all these great actors, but it's bad. But like you said, bringing it back to Marvel, I like the addition of Gunn directing it. I feel like that will probably elevate it a lot, that property.
Yeah, I mean, like, did you hear about all the drama that happened with Gunn?
Oh yeah, how he got in trouble for a tweet that he did like decades ago. Disney kicked him off.
Yeah, which he already apologized for decades ago.
Yeah, Marvel kicked him out, and then the actor that plays the what is his name in Guardians of the Galaxy? Yes. How he was like, well, if you're going to get rid of him, I'm not going to be a part of it anymore. I'm done.
Because it was ridiculous. I remember when it was announced, it was like, you fired him for a couple of, like, they weren't great jokes. Like, they weren't bad, but, like, that was Tom Gunn's thing. His whole humor was, like, gross, outrage humor. And that's a phase that he explored, and he moved on, and he matured from. And then, like, they knew this when they hired him, that he had a history of, like, just terrible jokes and movie making, and then he matured and made some great movies.
Then you gotta remember
then like, now people on Twitter are upset, we gotta get rid of him.
Right, but then you gotta remember that Disney bought them out, and with Disney, like, they don't like controversy like that. Not to mention all these horrible stories about the mistreatment of women in Hollywood, so that was like their knee-jerk reaction of, oh shit, we don't want anything to do with them. So, I mean, I kind of understood where they were coming from, because it's like, one, it's Disney, so they don't like a scandal. Two, it was very much the beginning of the Me Too movement, so.
But this had nothing to do with the Me Too movement. I think that's what I didn't like. It was just.
But there's a lot of fallout from that, though, and I think that's it. It created this super sensitive, which we should have, the super sensitive like culture. I think they took it to the extreme.
I'm all for the rights of women in Hollywood. I think they were being mistreated terribly. I love the Me Too movement, but I do not believe that the society should be so sensitive that bad jokes gets people fired from their job. Bad jokes that they made decades ago.
I agree. I think Disney just panicked and jumped the gun. I honestly, excuse the pun. I think that's exactly what happened. Is that they were like, oh god, get him away. Kind of a thing.
Which I just think that's I just hate that type of business practice of like mob mentality. So I'm just really glad that they did come to their senses and we are getting a Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But the price because of that whole Disney fiasco is now that it's been pushed back.
Because he's got to do that. But
so that's why I'm just curious.
But it's a win
it
for
looked
us.
like to me Guardians of the Galaxy Well, no, it's but like the thing was that like although I'm glad that we're getting James Gunn doing Suicide Squad.
Yes.
I got the impression from the end of Endgame that the next Guardians of the Galaxy was going to have Thor in it, and that was going to be the whole thing. And so now I'm interested to see how Love and Thunder is going to play out, seeing that the last time we saw him, he was hanging with the Guardians of the Galaxy. So maybe are they going to play a role in Thor 4? Or I don't know.
Yeah. Who knows? Because I mean, I don't think
it doesn't seem like they are.
Yeah, like, because I don't think I need to say this, but in the comic books, like, him and the Guardians of the Galaxy don't mix. Unless they do something... Unless...
Oh, that was so funny, though. That was so great in Endgame and Infinity War.
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
Especially with the direction that they took Thor with Ragnarok, I thought they made a perfect pairing.
It was awesome. Are you kidding? What did they call him? Space Pirate Baby Angel? I mean, it was awesome. It was absolutely... And then how Star-Lord kept, like, dropping his, like, voice and puffing out his chest. Around Thor. Oh, my God.
No, it was great.
It was great, yeah. So, no, I would be excited if he does make an appearance in either property. I think that would be freaking awesome. And since we have... the same director who did Ragnarok doing this one, we might, because I feel like he's a crazy enough director, he would do something like that, like pop him in there. So we'll see. Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm so excited. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Me too. This is definitely the one I'm most excited about. Anything with Taika Waititi in it, I'm gonna in love with that. So yeah, Thor: Love and Thunder. I think that's our clear winner for us. But just when we thought that the panel was over, they announced something right at the end that they were making a new Blade movie, a Blade reboot, with I can never say his name, Mahershala Ali, the main bad guy from the Luke Cage series is gonna be the new Blade, and I haven't really watched the Blades movies, so I'm not quite sure what it's about, but I know that they're very R-rated shows.
Yes.
So I'm curious, are they gonna go a full? Is this gonna be the first R-rated Marvel movie? What are they gonna do? Apparently it's gonna come out May 1st. Apparently it's gonna come. Oh, we don't actually have a
Dude, you've never watched
announcement.
any
It's
of
gonna
the
come
Blade
after
movies?
Love and Thunder. No, I've never seen the Blade movies. I know. I was too young when they came out.
Oh, let me hit you to some game.
I haven't gotten around to them.
So basically, this is, I mean, I won't, so, how to best explain? So it's a gothic, dark world, right? And basically this woman...
Well, I know sort of what it's about. It's basically like a vampire, like a cool vampire hunter, right?
Yes.
And there's this scene
The
where,
comics,
like, they have a blood shower
like
or
the
something.
the movies are kind of hokey, and the main character was played by Wesley Snipes, but the comic books are awesome. So basically, it's Thor, not Thor. Blade is a half human, half vampire who hunts his own kind. And he has to fight against his own nature because he does get bloodlust. So that's one of the other things that he has to fight against. And then, like, humans hate him, obviously, because they're like, ugh, because he's like a vampire. But then the vampires hate him because it's like, he should be fighting with them instead of against them, kind of a thing. So it's so he's constantly fighting like an internal battle. The comics are really good. They're super gory, very dark. The movies, we're kind of one of those, like, it's so stupid, it's passable kind of a thing.
Very of its time.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
imagine.
very of its time.
Because they were probably there. It had a bunch of sequels. Didn't it?
Yeah, it had like what? How many movies are there? I think 3 or 4. One of the 3 or 4.
Oh,
yeah,
gosh.
yeah, they had a lot. And Jessica Biel was actually in, and Ryan Reynolds was actually in one of the movies. So I think I like the property of Blade, so I'm excited that it's going to get like a reboot because I think that it is a really good property, and now they can do it right. I feel like.
If if they get an R rating.
Yes,
we still
yes,
don't know if
yes.
it's got an R rating or not. They just kind of said we're doing it.
And here's the thing. It's like Blade is very much like Deadpool. Like, it won't work unless it's R rated. It just won't work. You can't make a movie like that BG.
What are you talking about? They did Deadpool in X-Men Origins, and it was an R rating, and that was perfect. That was fine.
Right. Right. So yeah.
Alright, so fingers crossed on that R
Right,
rating.
yeah, it's got to be R, or else it just wouldn't work. Because the story itself is so dark that it would honestly be hokey if it was a rating lower than R. You can't do it. There's no way you can do it. So
I'm definitely be interested to see how something like this would fit into the greater universe. Just because, like, I mean, like, I'd say it sounds a bit weird, like having like straight up vampires and stuff. But then again, this series came from a man building, a piece of armor in an old shed to like space aliens and crazy time travel cosmic powers. So, and they made magic work somehow.
Yeah.
So I guess, if they can make vampires and more supernatural stuff work too, then damn.
Yeah, I think it can work, but like I said, it's got to be rated. I think the biggest hurdle will be if it gets a rated R approval, because it's got to be. There's no way you can to do it really right and not make it hokey.
Well, maybe
it's got to have a rated R because of like I said, the subject matter of the story. It just won't work unless it's R. It just won't work. There's no way. It would be stupid.
I wonder if they're waiting to see how Doctor Strange does, because that one's been a horror movie and probably will be a lot darker. I'm wondering if they will see what the success of that is, and if that might play into it.
It's kind of like what's that? Spawn, right? Like Spawn, wait, do you know Spawn? Do you know that property?
He's the one that's got kind of a Deadpool face, right? And he's got a suit from hell or something. He's got a cape, right?
Yeah, close enough. But it
kind of looks a bit like Big Venom with a cape.
Yes, stop.
I don't know a lot about comics.
But my point is, like, there are some properties it just won't work unless it's R. There's no. It's like, just stop, because you've just shot yourself in the foot already before you've even begun.
I guess that's something we're just gonna have to wait and see on.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the majority of the movies that they announced. It's crazy. They announced all of this stuff, and that's only going to be in the next 2 years. The majority of which is going to be in 2021. 2021 is gonna be
huge,
jam packed with Marvel stuff.
Oh, without doubt.
I like that they're giving it a break. Like there's nothing until next year, and then it's happening sort of like towards the latter end of next year, and then it's going to slowly ramp up and then get big again. I like that they're giving at least a break and then going, all right, here's everything again.
Right, exactly. I mean, but I get it, because I feel like they want to cleanse our palate, if you will, because we just had like Endgame. So I get it.
Totally. And a few other properties. We mentioned it before, but Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was announced. We know that Black Panther 2 is announced alongside Captain Marvel 2. And we're not, like, I'm assuming there's going to be a new Spider-Man movie, but from what I've heard, there's they've got to basically make a new deal with Sony. I'm not quite sure why Sony wouldn't make another deal, seeing that these movies are making a lot of money for them. But, nothing's been announced. I'm assuming if there is going to be a new Spider-Man movie, it's going to come in the next 2 years. It's probably going to come in between the movies. It's not going to be after Thor Ragnarok.
Right.
It's just not being negotiated yet. But yeah, that is the slate and our thoughts on it for Marvel movies for the next foreseeable future. It's crazy that, like, we're in an age where they're just like, yep, here are all the stuff that we're doing for the next few years. I remember, like, when they first did it with Wave, I think 3 was it, when they announced, Captain America Civil War and Infinity War and all of that great stuff. And they actually delivered on all of that amazing stuff that they announced. What I love is that DC, as soon as Marvel did their Wave 3 announcement, Marvel movie made theirs. Like, we're gonna do the Aquaman and the Flash movie and Justice League Part 1 and Part 2. And just seeing how that went compared to how amazing the Wave 3 went is pretty funny.
Right.
So, if that's anything to go by, it should, I think, Disney movies are doing some real smart things going forward. I'm really interested to see these television shows, because I think they're going to be very different kind of television shows, especially like the high budget, directly tied into the movies, big name actors. It's not like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where like they went, oh, something happened, a few years ago, but like you never saw like a Thor or like a Tony Danza Jr. in that show. But in this one, it's going to be highly linked. So I'm really excited to see how that cross media is going to work. And yeah, despite the fact that I think Endgame was such a great endpoint, Marvel does a really good job of making me go, yeah, okay, I can't wait to see what's next.
Here. And even
Don't know how they do
though
it.
I was talking shit about the animated series, I am going to keep my eye out for that, because like I said, I am a fan of animated media. So so we'll see. They have to convince me, because like I said, their stuff is shit. In general, their animated stuff is shit, but we'll see. We'll see.
All right. Well, that was our thoughts on
Phase 4.
the Marvel movie.
Yeah, Phase 4 of Marvel movies and
Phase 4.
TV.
Yeah. So it's been a long podcast as it is. So I don't think we're going to do I don't think we have time for the things we like corner. We shall now say goodbye, and we shall see you next time.
Thanks, guys.